Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? My name is Celso Garcia, and I'm live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Substack, and also on TikTok. You gotta make jokes about people, right? Since they hate so hard on Hassan Piker, I'm gonna have to join the hate Hassan Piker uh, train, right? Instead of the Trump train, it's gonna be the why is this guy so popular train, right? Why is Hassan Piker so popular? Why do people like him so much? Is it his hair? Is it um, his clothes? Or is it his thoughts? That what they like, what he has to say, right? I have a feeling it's his thoughts. They like what he has to say, and that's the reason why so many people um, follow him, right? Millions of people follow him. More than 5 million people follow him. And so I won't join the hate club, but I will make jokes, right? Not necessarily on him, but on the people that think that he's such a bad person, that he's the cause of all the evil, all the bad things that are happening in our society. All of a sudden, we got a villain, right? We got a super villain. People are programmed to think in a villain, supervillain type of way, right? That's how bad it is that we're programmed to think that the only way to think is that there's villains on one side and good people on the other side, right? And so, in my opinion, he wouldn't be a villain, right? If the world was fair and just and everyone was treated the way they were supposed to be treated, we would listen to him and say, wow, this guy's a rational guy. He's making sense. And what he's saying is the truth. And I agree with him 100%. The economy is not doing well. And that's why a lot of people have soured on Donald Trump, right? He has a very low popularity rate. He is like 28% approval rating. And but the only people that do support him 100% are Republicans, especially the people in the MAGA movement. They don't dare flinch or even say anything remote to what Donald Trump says, right? So that's the controversy, right? So we already know they try to cancel Jimmy Kimmel the first time around, right? They try to cancel Jimmy Kimmel the first time around. It didn't work. They got people upset. And guess what? They still try. They still try to do the same thing. Why? Because this is what they do, right? Now they're blaming the left. The left does this. The left is dangerous. But they don't acknowledge the fact that Donald Trump is making a mess of the economy. He made a mess the first time around, right? And they blamed it on COVID. And now, this time around, he made a big mess, right? Not only with the Iran war, with the tariffs, with the global slowdown that some people don't want to acknowledge, right? But there's a slowdown in a lot of places as far as the economy is concerned. I don't know about you, but I agree with Hassan Piker that the economy is toasty, it's done. And this is when people come around 100% and realize that maybe President Trump is a fraud.
To less take home pay.
This is when people realize that maybe Trump is lying to them or didn't tell them the truth.
It's translating to less take-home pay, or translating into more expensive gas prices at the pump. Doesn't matter if he talks about the fucking ballroom. Every time he talks about the ballroom, he's gonna lose even more fans. His fans are gonna be like, I don't
Yeah,
give a fuck about the ballroom, dude. Fix the gas prices, right?
exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. That's all his fans
You can
care
only
about.
talk about everything transgender, everything computer, everybody transgender, until, people start realizing that they're paying 10, 20, 30 extra dollars at the pump. At which point, it's fucking over. It doesn't matter. People are gonna be like, I don't give a shit about trans. I'll make my daughter transgender if you fucking lower the price of uh, lower the price of my groceries, Mr. President. I don't give a shit.
Exactly. Nobody cares. All people
This
want
was
is the prices to go
it's
down.
translating to less take-home pay, or translating into more expensive gas prices at the pump. Doesn't matter if he talks about the fucking ballroom. Every time he talks about the ballroom, he's gonna lose even more fans. His fans are gonna be like, I don't give a fuck about the ballroom, dude. Fix the gas prices, right?
And the thing is that um, diesel is even more expensive, right? So all the truck drivers, they're upset right now because they don't get paid for fuel. Most people get reimbursed at a certain rate, whatever's in their contract. So right now it's not updated. So a lot of them are losing money, tons of money. They're paying for the fuel. The companies are charging more for the items, but the truck drivers are not getting a cut of that. Or the jet fuel is going up, and the airlines are saying that they're gonna pass it on to the consumers, right? So the issue is that everyone is worried right now that there could be a global recession, right? That's the biggest issue. If there's a global recession,
That's
we're
it.
screwed. We're screwed.
You can only
It takes
talk
years
about
to get out of a
everything
recession.
transgender, everything computer, everybody transgender, until people start realizing that they're paying 10, 20, 30 extra dollars at the pump. At which point, it's fucking over. It doesn't matter. People are gonna be like, I don't give a shit about trans. I'll make my daughter transgender if you fucking lower the price of uh, lower the price of my groceries, Mr. President. I don't give a shit.
And that's what's happening.
This was
So now that's the new reality, right? That people are realizing that maybe Trump didn't tell everyone 100% the truth, right? That's the and a big issue that they've been bringing up over and over is the Epstein files, and Trump never likes this topic. Trump never likes this topic. He doesn't want nobody talking about it. As you saw in the 60 Minutes interview last night, he went hard on the reporter because she asked him about the manifesto and how um, it had called him a pedophile and all types of names. And so Trump wasn't happy about it. And he and Melania even called different news agencies to be interviewed over the phone about the fact that Jimmy Kimmel should be canceled, right? He should lose his job, according to Melania Trump, right? And Donald Trump. Donald Trump is backing up Melania, right? Backing up Melania. So, but I appreciate you all I definitely appreciate you all. I appreciate everything you do. And thank you for the like, everyone. Thank you for the like. Thank you for listening. You know, and instead of attacking the point of views of people, hit the subscribe button. Hit the little subscribe button so you won't lose the show, the program. And so instead of worrying about the real things that happen in the country, they're worried about everything that Donald Trump says and does, right? So right now, Donald Trump wants to talk about the ballroom, and they're complying. They're speaking about the ballroom and about how great it will be. And guess what? They're online. They're on speaking to the constituents, letting them know about how a ballroom is so great. But most people, most people are not rich. They're living paycheck to paycheck. So that time that we have to realize that times are tough. And so the president should be cognizant and understand that most people are worried about the economy more than they are about politics, right? Everyone's worried about the economy. If the economy craters, it doesn't matter how many wins you got. People are going to want to um, destroy your name and your reputation in order to get some money from certain people, right? So not everyone has a backbone, and not everyone is willing to stand up for what is right, right? Oh no. So not everyone's willing to stand up for what's right. Some people are willing to do everything possible, while others will not lift a finger. So I'll start the broadcast with one of the most hated men in 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 the left, where a lot of people don't like him. A lot of people feel like he is the cause of all the problems that we're having in society, and we need to cancel him. And because he's too daring, he's too bold, he's too um, forthright, right? And so they also want to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel, right? That's the same reason why they want to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel. Too forthright, too straight to the point, too in, too intelligent, and they don't back down. They don't shut up for anyone, right? So when they try to cancel Jimmy Kimmel the first time around, they tried their hardest, right, to get him off the air. It lasted a few days. Him and his legal team were prepared to file a possible challenge to his firing, and the executives at his station decided to back down and put him back on the air, right? But the thing is, they were listening to people like Jimmy Kimmel, right? Everyone's listening to Jimmy Kimmel, so they feel like he has an outside influence outsized influence on what happens in our political landscape, right? But like Hassan says over and over, he's just a Twitch streamer, right? He's just a Twitch streamer. He's not nothing special. He's no one special. But they try to villainize him as the worst person to walk the earth, right? He's the worst person to walk the earth. And no matter if he solves things that are hard to solve, they still don't want to give him credit, right? They don't want to give him credit. I'm speaking about Zora Mandani, Hassan Piker, darlings of the left, they call them, right? AOC, Bernie Sanders. They've been fighting for years and years and have never sold out. The future of the state, the future of the city, the future of the country. They've been steadfast in their beliefs and steadfast in their ideas that every person should be allowed to speak, irrespective of party affiliation. So, so the Pentagon is restricting um, journalists in the Pentagon, right? They're going to restrict journalists, and the courts have been siding with them. And so it's possible that we're going to have serious problems in our democracy, right? When no one wants to rein in the president and wants to allow him to do as he pleases. Those are rumors, right? But he's doing what he wants. Thanks for the like, uh, Jeremiah's. Thank you for the like. I appreciate it. Watch the program on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Substack, and TikTok, right? Watch it on all the channels, whatever your favorite channel is. Watch it on that channel, right? Because it's getting bizarre. Our politics are getting bizarre. It's no longer about unification. It's no longer even trying to unify people. It's just about who gets the most publicity, who can publicize the most, right? So that's the biggest issue, right? Who gets to publicize the most? Who gets to?
It's translating to less take-home pay, or translating into more expensive gas prices at the pump. Doesn't matter if he talks about the fucking ballroom. Every time he talks about the ballroom, he's gonna lose even more fans. His fans are gonna be like, I don't give a fuck about the ballroom, dude. Fix the gas prices, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You can only talk about everything transgender, everything computer, everybody transgender until, you know, people start realizing that they're paying 10, 20, 30 extra dollars at the pump. At which point, it's fucking over. It doesn't matter. People are gonna be like, I don't give a shit about trans. I'll make my daughter transgender if you fucking lower the price of my groceries.
It's
Mr.
about
President. I don't give a
affordability.
shit.
That's what brought Biden down, the affordability of stuff.
It's translating to less take-home pay, or translating into more expensive gas prices at the pump. Doesn't matter if he talks about the fucking ballroom. Every time he talks about the ballroom, he's gonna lose even more fans. His fans are gonna be like, I don't give a fuck about the ballroom, dude. Fix the gas prices, right? That's it.
Well, that's all
You
people.
you can only talk about everything transgender, everything computer, everybody transgender until people start real.
Until you turn blue in the face, right? And at a certain point, people don't care. People just want to know what's going on with the money. What's going on with my money, right? Why are things so expensive? Okay, so these what they call the talking heads don't stop talking, right? Don't stop chirping, right? Let's see this broadcast real fast. Today's gonna be comedy night. A lot of comedians, a lot of funny people. Tonight's gonna be comedy night because we gotta lighten up the load, right? Everyone's too stressed out. Too many things happening at once. So let's listen to some comedy night, right? It'll help you get a little bit less serious. Let's see. So this is Hakeem Jeffries. Democrats are a joke, right? Democrats are a joke. They don't have a voice. They're like also just as incompetent as the Republicans, right? Very incompetent. Very how can I say it nicely? Very full of it, full of crap, right? Um, Hakeem Jeffries starts to speak, and I don't know if we could trust him as a leader. That's my reality. I don't know if I could trust him as a leader, but let's hear it what he has to say about the situation.
Have now shut down the Department of Homeland Security for more than 70 days because Donald Trump and Republicans want to continue to drive their extreme immigration agenda and violent mass deportation machine led by ICE down the throats of the American people. Several weeks ago, a bill was sent over from the United States Senate that was supported by every single Republican and every single Democrat in the Senate. It's a bipartisan bill that has been languishing in the House of Representatives. We can bring that bill to the floor today, and it would fully fund the United States Secret Service. Why is Mike Johnson and House Republicans continuing to refuse to bring that bipartisan bill to the floor that would fund TSA? It would fund the Secret Service. It would fund FEMA. It would fund the Coast Guard, and it would fund the cybersecurity professionals at the Department of Homeland Security who are working hard to keep us safe. Instead, it's House Republicans that continue to play partisan political games. If they really do believe we need to act swiftly, there's a vehicle to do it. Bring the bipartisan Senate passed bill to the House floor today, and it would fund the Department of Homeland
Exactly.
Security in its entirety, with the exception of ICE and the violent Republican mass deportation machine. Questions? Kevin?
I want to get your response. I realize this quote is a quote from someone else. You Republicans continue to hit you over saying maximum warfare everywhere all the time in your tweet after the election So I want you to respond to that. From a macro perspective, if you can, what are you advising your members to do about rhetoric right now that you criticize the president without facing you?
Political violence in any form directed at anyone, whether that's the right, the left, or the center, is unacceptable. Period. Full stop. The notion that any of us are concerned with so-called criticism from these phony Republicans as it relates to anything that has been said, certainly as it relates to the comment related to maximum warfare everywhere, all the time, in connection with the redistricting battle that Republicans launched. I stand by it. You can continue to criticize me for it. I don't give a damn about your criticism. First of all, that phrase, maximum warfare, everywhere, all the time, came from the White House in the summer of 2025, when they started this redistricting battle. And now they're big mad. Why? Because Democrats have decided to finish it. Get lost.
Can you characterize fractures between the United States and the United Kingdom? And do you think that the speech by the King tomorrow, what would need to be said to repair some of those divides?
We look forward to the state visit.
Back. You got to ride
Right?
the rock.
Oh. You seen Hakeem Jeffries, the way he thinks? He's this is the best hope for the Democratic Party, Hakeem Jeffries, that hasn't really opposed anyone, right? He hasn't opposed anyone. It's like everyone's asking, where have you been, Hakeem? Right? Where have you been? And so now Melania Trump is after Jimmy Kimmel, right? Everyone's after Jimmy Kimmel now. Well, what will they do? What would the network do? Would they cancel his show and get the backlash that they got last time? People canceled their memberships to Paramount, canceled their memberships to, right? So before we get into more comedy, so a bombshell was dropped that the public is going to pay for the ballroom. So Lindsey Graham introduced a bill that to make us pay for the ballroom that President Trump wants. $500 million, right? $500 million. That's the bill that Lindsey Graham introduced, right? Let's see.
Panel exactly where the gold curtains are, and when that gets opened, there's a magnificent walkway that goes into what will be the most beautiful.
Right, this is after he bulldozed
The most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world. So we did this no charge to the taxpayer whatsoever. This was all donations made by friends of mine and people that are that love our country. They love the White House, Preservation Society, the whole group, but not one penny of. And it's a very expensive building, very expensive ballroom, but beautiful, beautiful, in keeping with the White House. An enhancement to the White House, but they've needed it for years. When they had a big event when the president of China comes in, when somebody comes in of magnitude, they put a tent out on the lawn. If it rained, you were in deep trouble because the only part of the lawn that they can do it is a very low section. So it would be, a little embarrassing when you're sitting down with the king of Saudi Arabia and he's sitting in a puddle with 4 inches of water over his shoes.
Interesting
It
enough.
was not exactly good, but it's under construction. But right through, that's going to be a very famous portal for hopefully hundreds of years, because what we're building is really special. But so important to say, because nobody ever reports it, it will be totally, totally tax-free. Not one penny of tax will be donated to this, and it's going to be something that I think the country will be very proud of when it opens. But
Right, was going to be proud
for
of a ballroom, right? And then a few months later, we get this instead.
Legislation that would authorize $400 million to be spent to secure to build the presidential ballroom. Underneath, there will be a lot of military stuff. There will be a Secret Service annex. And we've paid for it by offsetting it with custom fees. But the estimate is $332 million. We're going to do $400 million because I think it's probably going to take more. Private donations can be used, but I think they should be used for buying China and stuff like that. Underneath this ballroom will be infrastructure that is national security centric. The ballroom itself will avoid the dilemma of having to leave the White House grounds with future presidents and this president's to go downtown in a place that's less secure. President Trump said to me yesterday, we need the ballroom, not just for me, but for future presidents. He literally could have left his bedroom, walked out the back of the White House, and been at the ballroom. That's what needs to happen when you have 1,000 or 2,000 people gathered in today's environment.
So
the sooner we get the ballroom built.
So is it a good idea to bring 1,000 people to the White House? I mean, is that a good idea? Bring that many people into the White House? I mean, what do you think, people? All right, so now they talk about using public money. So whatever happened to, isn't this a contradiction? Where they talk about using private funds and now all of a sudden they talk about public money? Isn't this a contradiction or what? But some people don't view it that way. Everyone, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Substack, TikTok. Hit the like button, hit the share button. I really appreciate all the viewers, wherever you are. I really do appreciate you and your perspective and your point of view, right? So let's see. There was one I wanted to show you. So let's see. Okay, so Melania blames husband, sworn TV enemy, for WHCA shooting. Melania Trump has lashed out at late night host Jimmy Kimmel, accusing him of promoting hateful and violent rhetoric after he joked about her having the glow of an expectant widow. The comments were made on Kimmel's show last Thursday when he parodied the White House Correspondents' Dinner. 2 days later, a gunman stormed the event in the third apparent attempt against President Donald Trump in 2 years. However, writing on X, the First Lady sought to tie Kimmel to the events of Saturday night, describing him as a coward, seeking to divide the country. His monologue about my family isn't comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America, she wrote. People like Kimmel shouldn't have the opportunity to enter our homes each evening to spread hate. A coward, Kimmel hides behind ABC because he knows the network will keep running cover to protect him. Enough is enough. It's time for ABC to take a stand. How many times will ABC's leadership enable Jimmy Kimmel's atrocious behavior at the expense of our communities? So, not only Melania Trump, Donald Trump are all going um, after Jimmy Kimmel. And so now it's another showdown because I think if they turn their backs on him, the agency is probably going to lose a lot of followers, right? Right? Probably going to lose a lot of followers, a lot of people that follow his show. Let's see. Hello, everyone. Hit the follow button. If you want to support the channel, go to, you can hit the Cash App, $ Old Man Labor, $ Old Man Labor, right? So let's watch the Jimmy Kimmel Melania takedown. What got him so angry? There was one joke that
for the left who's 100% to blame for going on 10 years now of inciting violence, deception, hatred, lies, and a continued attempt to hide their own evils, fraud, money laundering, election rigging, race baiting, human trafficking, you name it.
Appears to be in response to a segment that Kimmel aired days before the White House Correspondents' Dinner. In that segment, Kimmel said the First Lady had the glow of a, quote, expectant widow. And now we have this response. The First Lady writing on X the following, quote, Kimmel's hateful and violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. His monologue about my family is not comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America.
So nothing that Trump does is sick. Nothing that Trump says is sick.
It is time for ABC to take a stand. How many times will ABC's leadership enable Kimmel's atrocious behavior at the expense of our community, end quote. For the second time now in the past 2 weeks, the First Lady taking a public stand. A few weeks back, she made a statement asserting that the rumors about Jeffrey Epstein and connections to her were baseless. And now we have this response to Jimmy Kimmel just in.
And so that's her response to Jimmy Kimmel. She just went hard on him. Everyone hit the subscribe button. We need more subscribers on all the channels. TikTok, YouTube, whatever you are, hit the subscribe button. Let's get to 10,000 subscribers, 100,000, a million subscribers, whatever you prefer, whenever you prefer it, right? So it's bizarre to me, right? Because the correspondence dinner is something where you normally would roast and it's based on, and they talk about it's supposed to be a light evening where comedy takes place, where people take jokes, they rib each other. It's usually Republicans and Democrats get invited. It's not just one person or the other, right? It's not just one person or the other. It's just a straight up ribbing, right? You rib each other, and no big deal, no foul, no harm, right? And so Donald Trump had his response.
Expectant widow. Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
So, wow, Jimmy Kimmel. This is Donald Trump's response. Wow, Jimmy Kimmel, who is in no way funny, as attested to by his terrible television ratings, made a statement on his show that is really shocking. He showed a fake video of the First Lady Melania and our son Barron like they were actually sitting in his studio, listening to him speak, which they weren't and never would be. He then stated, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania. So beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow. A day later, a lunatic tried entering the ballroom of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, loaded up with a shotgun, handgun, and many knives. He was there for a very obvious and sinister reason. I appreciate that so many people are incensed by Kimmel's despicable call to violence and normally should not be responsive to anything that he said, but this is something far beyond the pale. Jimmy Kimmel should be immediately fired by Disney and ABC. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Right? So should they entertain this and fire him? They tried it before, and they lost so many subscriptions. They got so much blowback when they tried that I don't think that would be the best approach, right? Just cancel Jimmy Kimmel just because the president says he should be canceled. Let him make his jokes. Let him make his jokes. So what? Let him make his jokes. A joke is a joke. In politics, jokes should be allowed. In life, politicians, jokes are a good thing, right? To me, jokes are a good thing, right? I love a good joke. But some people just can't take jokes. they get upset, right? So they're lashing out at anyone that supports Jimmy Kimmel. They're saying that anyone that supports Jimmy Kimmel is a traitor, right? That's their argument, right? Let's listen to some things that got Trump angered. They keep talking about the Epstein case, right?
Who's an idiot that doesn't realize they look like a Nazi, and who's being pranked into looking like a Nazi. Times like, now, call me old-fashioned, but I miss the simpler days from my youth when you didn't have to determine who's a Nazi, who's just joking about being a Nazi, who's an idiot that doesn't realize they look like a Nazi, and who's being pranked into looking like a Nazi. Times like these, it's important to remember the words of philosopher and owner of the second most famous German mustache, Friedrich Nietzsche. If you gaze long enough into a Nazi edgelord abyss, the Nazi edgelord abyss will gaze back into you. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, who looks like if all the grown-up versions of the kids from Sandlot were one person, said there's no evidence of President Trump wrongdoing in the Epstein files.
The evidence we've gathered does not implicate President Trump in any way.
Well, there you have it.
There you have it.
Certain to satisfy
That's
basically
it.
no one who wasn't already satisfied. That little R next to Comer's name is going to make Democrats...
Just leave it alone, right? That's it. They said he didn't do it. He's not involved in it. Leave him alone. That's it. It's over, right?
Doubt this just trust me, bro approach until the Epstein files
bro.
are released. And
That's it,
probably
just trust
after,
me.
too, if we're being honest.
That's it. That's what you
Even
got to
people
do.
who
Trust
voted
me.
for Trump are going to ask for better evidence. I mean, come on, man. You got to give us something new here, Comer.
Public reporting, survivor testimony, and official documents show that Bill Clinton had far closer ties to Epstein.
Clinton was close with Epstein? My God, that's not new information. It'd only be new if we saw a Clinton birthday card to Epstein. Comer announced a Republican-led House panel will seek an interview with Bill Clinton as part of the Epstein investigation.
This is old.
I'm surprised Republicans are doing this, mainly because if this ends up with Bill Clinton in prison, I'm shocked they would do anything that would so blatantly make Hillary Clinton that happy. House Speaker Mike Johnson, who looked like Clark Kent if Earth's yellow sun gave Superman a gluten allergy, used Comer's clearing of Trump to attack Democrats and their demands for the release of the Epstein files.
They're utterly lost as a party, and everybody can see it. So what are they doing? They see a shiny object, and they latch onto it. Democrats did not say one word about the Epstein files for the entire Biden presidency. And suddenly now they somehow convince themselves that the Epstein files will be damaging to President Trump and Republicans in some way that they've imagined. And so they feign outrage.
I'm sure that's not true. Let's hear from Chuck Schumer, who looks like he constantly startles people that mistook him for a melting wax statue.
Given that you're all demanding the release of the Epstein files, why weren't Democrats calling for the release of these files when Biden was president and when you were in the majority?
I did in 2019.
And not nearly as
I
vocal
did.
as you are now.
Please, that's not true.
Did he just say he called for the release of the files during Biden's presidency in 2019?
But brand new Abrams tanks, 48 new.
Mr. President, he appears.
And so let's watch the 60 Minutes interview that got the president even more irked, right? He's really upset at ABC, right? really upset with this station.
The so-called manifesto is a
Out there,
stunning
though.
thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this quote, "Administration officials, they are targets." And he also wrote this, "I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes." What's your reaction to
Well,
that?
I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Oh,
I'm not a
do you think he was
pedophile.
referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with.
He never used. The funny part is that in the manifesto, the guy never used Trump's name, but Trump right away assumed it was him. But he never used his name. So it could have been anyone in the White House, anyone that worked for him, any of his cabinet. But he claims that he was speaking about him. But I mean, there might be other PD3Os. There might be more pedos and the other people in the White House that are in the Epstein files, right?
All stuff that has
Is that
nothing
the
to do
guilty
with
conscience?
me.
Is that the guilty conscience? The conscience is like you have the angel and the devil in your ear. On one side is the angel, on the other side is the devil, and they're whispering in your ear. And so this was one of those moments where his conscience just couldn't help it, right?
Was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
And I
these
was
are
never,
the gunman's words.
excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead, let's finish the interview.
The other thing that he wrote in
You're disgraceful.
the other thing in the manifesto that I think is worth looking at in terms of determining his motive is he had been staying at the hotel since Friday. He checked in, he said he had cased the place, and he wrote, "What the hell is the Secret Service doing?"
She didn't blink, right? He tried to intimidate her, try to tell her in other words, shut the hell up. Don't talk because I said so. And she's not blinking.
And he wrote this quote, "I expected security cameras at every bend, bugged hotel rooms, armed agents every 10 feet, metal detectors out the wazoo. What I got is nothing." He wrote, "This level of incompetence is insane." Sir, you have already had two
Well, he was
attempted
pretty incompetent too because he got caught, and he got caught pretty easily. So I'd say he was pretty incompetent too. I could take any event having to do with security or
He's
anything else.
arguing with
I
that.
can always find fault. Those guys did a good job last night. They did a really good job.
I mentioned that because, again, as his motive, you brought
So now he's arguing with a crazy
this up.
person.
He had social media accounts that had anti-Trump and anti-Christian rhetoric.
You should read. Why don't you read all the anti-Trump? Why don't you read it? You just did, so why don't you read it?
Well, he had a lot of anti-Christian rhetoric. He was part of a group called the Wide Awakes. He had attended a No Kings protest in California.
No kings.
And then he says, I'm not a king. So what are you talking about? I'm not a king. Right? That was epic 60 Minutes interview by Donald Trump. And so the contradictions just keep going, right? The contradictions just keep going. And no one wants to challenge him, or the press is riding him real hard, and not in a bad way, but riding him in a way that they support whatever he does, whenever he does it. They just support him. They just feel like he's the only person that could solve the problems of America. But a lot of us have seen that a lot of the problems in our society have gotten worse thanks to Donald Trump. right? A lot of the issues that we thought, or a lot of people thought would get solved, have actually gotten worse, haven't improved, and all the promises that Trump made are those are the issues, right? And the thing is that when they speak about that evening, they forget to mention that the leader, the shooter, or attempted shooter, because he didn't really do much. He hated the left. But now they're claiming that it's the left that did it all, right? That's the claim, that the left was the one underneath or behind it, right?
Three months almost now, claiming that I am responsible for the political violence of this country. This guy was your guy. Virtually every single person that has been handshaking with the Republicans for the past 3 months almost now, claiming that I am responsible for the political violence of this country. This guy was your guy. This guy was a major fan of you. He was retweeting all of your fucking tweets. What do you say to that? He fucking hated me. He hated me. He loved you and he hated me. What the fuck do you have to say about that now? Huh? Unlike you, on the other hand, I don't think you are the reason why he did this thing, okay? Because I'm not a fucking asshole and I'm not a fucking idiot. But it's unbelievable that there are still people out there. Unbelievable that there are still people out there trying to be like, oh, this guy was a Hassan fan, leaning into the fucking right-wing Republican propaganda.
And it wasn't the left. It was
virtually
right?
every single person that has been handshaking with the Republicans for the past 3 months almost now, claiming that I am responsible for the political violence of this country. This guy was your guy. This guy was a major fan of you. He was retweeting all of your fucking tweets. What do you say to that? He fucking hated.
So, but the line is, the left is out of control. We need to get rid of the left. We need to get rid of democratic socialists. We need to get rid of anyone that's on the left and it's not conservative. But conservatives are known to be the lone wolves, the ones doing these things in other states, right? People that have a way of changing the narrative, or at least the story, right? And so they asked AOC about so AOC doesn't hold back, right? AOC went hard on Trump and his whole ballroom thing, right? She went hard on him. AOC doesn't hold back. She was asked straight up, what do you think about Trump's ballroom?
Is this something you would support authorizing in light of what happened on Saturday?
No, the president, let's be very clear here. The president sought
He demolished the East Wing of the White House, a historic jewel of the American people, and he started to build this ballroom long before any incident. He also promised the American people that this was going to be built with private dollars. And so the idea that they are now trying to change the rationale for this in retrospect doesn't quite add up. And in fact, the White House long had facilities for hosting, which also included the East Wing of the White House, prior to them bulldozing the crown jewel of the American people. And so I don't believe that in an era where they are jacking up prices on the American people, when they are gutting everyone's health care, when people cannot afford to pay their rent and their mortgages, that we should be choosing our precious treasure, little treasure that we have in this country, to build an ornate castle on a scale of which is quite unprecedented and unbelievable, without any sort of accountability to those funds. And I'm sure that anyone who believes in these values of so-called waste, fraud, and abuse would agree with me on that.
Do you feel safe currently?
Yeah, exactly. They complain about waste and abuse and fraud, yet what they're doing right now can be considered waste, abuse, and possible fraud, right? Allegedly. So, who wants to fight the powers to be? The younger people are the ones that listen to this type of message, right? The older folks, they just want the status quo, but the younger people want to see change in their lifetime.
To
The president wants this new ballroom that he's been trying to construct as a way to move ahead and protect himself and others during these big events. Is this something you would support authorizing in light of what happened on Saturday?
No, the president, let's be very clear here. The president he demolished the East Wing of the White House, a historic jewel of the American people, and he started to build this ballroom long before any incident. He also promised the American people that this was going to be built with private dollars. And so
They
the
hasn't.
idea.
And now they're breaking their promise. They're zigzagging with the private dollar thing. And now they're saying that it's going to be funded with public dollars. Because, I mean, the property does belong to the public. So the fact that he demolished it the first time around and no court told him anything, they all sided with him. And what he did, he demolished the whole West Wing of the White House, right? And no one could tell him anything. Anyone that tells him anything, it's a lunatic, according to her, right? So. Let me see. So he went after the whole Trump administration, Jimmy Kimmel. He wasn't playing, right? He wasn't playing. He had some good jokes. Let's see. Let's see this joke. Yeah, pretty much. I agree. He threw a lot of curveballs at a lot of people, that probably don't appreciate a joke, right? They're so serious. I don't think they're gonna appreciate a joke at all. Everyone hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it. All right, let's see. He's saying, this guy's saying that, let me listen to
fascists, Marxists, communists, garbage. The enemy is communist. Did anybody ever ask Trump after Melissa Hortman got murdered by a fucking MAGA terrorist? Did anybody ask Trump, hey man, do you feel responsible for this? That you actually use violent incendiary rhetoric pointed at Democrats all the fucking time, and now somebody took that and murdered a Democrat, right? Does that occur to you? No, nobody asked him. I love how they always flip the burden of proof. They flip the onus, flip it back on the Democrats. Somehow you always got to be the adult in the room, the bigger person, the better person, even though he's actually unhinged. He's actually violent with his rhetoric. You just simply tell the truth about what he's doing. So let's remember, guys, here are the things Trump has said about Democrats. They're the enemy within. They're scum, terrorists, vermin, radical, lunatics, demonic, evil, fascists, Marxists, communists, garbage, the enemy of the people, treasonous, animals, degenerates, Jew haters, lowlives. That's just a little taste of the stuff that he says about Democrats all the fucking time. Did anybody ever ask Trump after Melissa Hortman got murdered by a fucking MAGA terrorist? Did anybody ask Trump, hey man, do you feel responsible for this? That you actually use violent incendiary rhetoric pointed at Democrats all the fucking time, and now somebody took that and murdered a Democrat, right? Does that occur to you? No, nobody asked him. I love how they always flip the burden of proof. They flip the onus.
everyone. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Let's get these numbers up. I appreciate your support. I'm Celso Garcia, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Substack, TikTok. I appreciate your help in supporting the channel. I appreciate you supporting the channel. All right. Okay. Well. I appreciate you all joining me. I really do appreciate you all joining me. And thank you for supporting the broadcast. Hit the like button, hit the share button. This is going to be a short program. I appreciate you all. I'm gonna uh, you can watch the recording of it, and I really do appreciate you. Make sure you hit the share, follow, and like button. I appreciate you. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Celso Garcia, you can hit me up at Cash App, Old Man Labor, or you can hit up my GoFundMe, which is in my profile. And I appreciate you all. Thank you for joining me. And let's keep fighting for workers' rights, for the working people, that the working people have a fair chance in this country. Because it seems like we don't, right? The rich got a super big tax cut. Their bank accounts grew, not by millions, but by billions. Not also by some people estimate we have grown tremendously, right? So we can't allow one person to dictate the policy and try to destroy or undermine what we're talking about, right? But I appreciate you for joining me. And remember, fight with the workers. We need a change in this country that a lot of people are not with or willing to do, right? A lot of people are not willing to support that change. And so it's up to us, each one of us, to organize, grow the movement, and get our neighbors involved, get our families involved to try to make positive impact and positive change to the way we do things in this country, right? If not, things will stay the same forever, and we'll never experience change for real, right? So let's listen to one more thing before we say goodbye, okay?
Fact that he
Let me play one more video.
is terrible for this country and so on and so forth. I understand that that's your democratic right, but overall,
Yeah.
do you
I have
a
no personal
responsibility?
problem with Donald Trump at all. I mean, I talk about the policies of this administration,
Mhm.
the authoritarianism like we saw on display in Minneapolis, where 2 of our citizens were gunned down in the streets simply for exercising their First Amendment rights. Renee Good, Alex Preddy, and others have, died in custody. I'm talking about policies. I don't personalize it, and I certainly have never called the press the enemy of the people. I think the press are the people's best friend, and that's why it's written right there into the First Amendment. We need the press to be a vigilant watchdog against every level of government, federal, state, local, all of it.
You're not going to get an argument from me on that.
Yeah.
Before I let you go,
So Raskin, they were trying to get him to disavow this is crazy. So everyone, thank you for joining me. Have a good night. I hope you have any more blessings. Bless you all wherever you are and whatever you do. Remember to hit up the show. Hit Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Substack, and now YouTube. Raskin's always gonna do this. You like Jimmy Raskin? Jimmy Raskin. I said Jamie Raskin. No one corrected me? Come on, people. Correct me if you hear me make mistakes. Don't be embarrassed. I don't mind. I'm not gonna have a fit or throw a fit like Trump does every time they correct him. Right? I will never have that type of fit. Right? This was yesterday's news. The picture, talk about violence, talk about not insulting people. What did Trump post? Right. What did Trump do? He spoke about Candace Owens, right? But he showed her in a different light, right? So, listen up, people. Another controversy. I think people will get tired of the controversies eventually and turn their backs on Trump, but it doesn't seem that way.
Everything he's doing today, her support, her vote, her words, and actions brought it to pass. She just didn't think that the leopard would eat her face too. Candace was literally the cheerleader of the I never thought leopards would eat my face brigade. And now the leopard she helped put in the highest office in the land, she supported, stood up for, the leopard that she benefited from proximity to white supremacy is now literally eating her face. This doesn't mean I think what he's doing is right. No, I'm just saying multiple truths coexist. And what is happening in this relationship was only a matter of freaking time. Because she always knew he was a bloody racist. She didn't care. She never condemned his racism publicly, never spoke out against his misogynoir publicly. But only in the last couple of years that she started to speak out. And she only started to do that when they started to push her out. They, the right-wingers, started to push her out. I give her credit for the work she's doing in shutting out the Zionism bullshit, in speaking up for Palestinians, Lebanese. All of that, I give her full credit for. Multiple truths coexist. I give her credit for that, but I'm also highlighting that this racism right here, it was only a matter of time to bounce towards her. And she should have known it's coming. Because this is the monster. This racist monster is who she rooted for. And it was only a matter of time that he would eat her face. That's all.
Wow.
Right. I'm just passing by.
And that's the goal of Trump. Learn from as many different politicians and focus on that. Right? Focus on finding a place to sleep that's quiet. Having a nice meal. Keep waiting for that. But right now won't be the right time to confront him. We shouldn't tell him the truth in his face. Or should we? He used up correspondence dinner not to really ask tough questions. Unfortunately, we don't get that. So, I mean, what do you think about her? Do you like Candace Owens? Do you like Candace Owens, people? What do you think about her? Do you believe that she's regrets having supported Donald Trump? You think she regrets it? Another thing I forgot to tell you is they really want Hegseth fired, right? Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, they want him gone. Republicans are trying to petition the White House to get rid of him, that he's incompetent, that he doesn't answer their questions, right? So they're saying that Hegseth, the Republicans are trying to push Hegseth out from the Secretary of Defense as the Secretary of Defense, right? Wrong or right? You decide. And right now, they just announced that the New York State budget, one of the largest municipal budgets in the country, I think it is the largest. Let me see. Okay. This is bizarre. So the budget's late. The New York State budget is late, and it's holding up Zohran Mamdani's official, ability to pass his own budget. Right. That's the problem. We can endure a longer budget. Let's see. Tax the rich, tax the rich. That's all what people want, right? It's for Kathy Hochul to tax the rich. Don't let them get away with it. They got a huge tax cut from Donald Trump. So make the taxes work for us, right? Make the taxes work for us. Tax the rich, and I don't care what you say. The rich need to pay their fair share. They just can. So, in that note, we'll talk about it tomorrow, the budget. Zoran delayed it, agreed with Menon, and Hochul doesn't have a budget yet. Usually, the budget is released. The executive budget is just a blueprint on how the area will be, right? So, but I appreciate you all. Have a good night, and let's see how the budget goes. Let's see what if Zoran's affordability agenda will be carried out. If Kathy Hochul will be willing to tax the rich, as she has promised, and how much will she tax the rich by? Right? That's another argument that people have, especially among the left, right? Especially among the left. What is the right point of view? What is the right perspective to have? Because of all the things that are happening across the country that are frustrating and also make you feel dangerous, right? People felt dangerous after that happened. Like they cannot trust a person with a weapon near them, right? So everyone hit the like button, hit the share button, share the program. Thank you so much for your support. Everyone have a blessed day, and keep coming on to the show. Keep sharing it. Let's hit 1,000 viewers, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, a million viewers, right? And hopefully I'll see you soon. May God be with you, And don't forget that life could be hard, but let's push forward and not cave in to the dark forces out there. Have a good night, everyone. Take care. We'll keep talking. Got plenty to say. I got plenty to say.